Welcome to Boss Bitch Radio. Today's episode is all about where to start on your bodybuilding journey. So if you are curious about competition prep, you want to start, you're not quite sure, this is definitely the episode for you. I brought in a special guest who is a wonderful coach on our team. Not only is she my daughter, she's an athlete herself. And we're going to talk about really basic steps on how to get started because it is very overwhelming. So without further ado, welcome back to the podcast, Eash to Beast.
Thank you. So happy to be here on Boss Bitch Radio and talk about all the competition prep things.
Yeah, and you yourself just finished competing as well. So you're fresh off the stage, you're fired up, you've got all your athletes ready to go, and you get a lot of inquiries. I know that when we compete, it's very attractive and people see your story and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to do this thing. And so we were talking and we thought it's probably a good idea to go back into a refresher for those that are maybe curious. In 2025, it's a new year, on where to get started. So what is the first thing on the agenda when it comes to thinking about competing?
Yeah, so even back when I first started competing 6 years ago, and things look starkly different. The starting place from where I started and where someone would start now looks a lot different because there's so much information nowadays and it almost feels like too much. It could be very overwhelming for a newbie. So my goal is to really just showcase some easy tips that will get you started and moving in the right direction and not to overwhelm. And I really think where to start begins with finding a coach that aligns with you.
Yes, super important. We've talked about this a lot in terms of girls winging it and just trying to go at it on their own. And before we started recording, we were talking about how it's really tempting to just hire the guy at the gym, right? The guy with the biggest muscles who's been on stage and he's like, I could prep you for $100 a month. And it's really tempting. So let's chat about why that's probably not the best idea for most people.
Absolutely. Hiring someone who looks the part, I totally understand. And as a beginner, you think he looks the part, like he can totally take me there. But can he? Does he have the knowledge? Like, what are his morals and ethics going into this? These are just the things that kind of pop into my brain. And is he going to give you some basic meal plan that you're going to be eating for 16 weeks and hate your life on?
Yeah.
Is he going to care when you have a menstrual cycle issues, the scale weight is up? Is he going to cut you down further? There are just certain things that come into play that maybe the gym bro isn't going to be the best coach for you.
Yeah. I see it time and time again. I know we've had clients come to us who said, hey, this guy started prepping me and I lost my period like really early, or my hair's falling out. Don't mind the psycho kitty in the podcast today or in the YouTube. He's just like living his best life here. But we've seen it time and time again. Women who are with a coach who just has the same meal plan for everybody and it's not super individualized. And also they're just drilling them down really hard from the beginning.
Yeah. And that's what leaves a really bad taste in people's mouths when women come to me and say, I've tried to prep before and they had me on tilapia and broccoli, no carbs at 20 weeks out.
Crazy.
And they never want to do a bodybuilding prep again, although they have the desire to step on stage to take this journey. And it takes a lot of rebuilding of trust once someone goes through something like that.
Most definitely. I mean, I've early on, just like my coach was along that line, right? And don't get me wrong, it got me the result, but at what cost?
Exactly.
Right? Like I was very food focused. I had thyroid issues. I mean, we see it with clients that come to us too. And they're like, this other coach just completely destroyed everything
100%.
because it's normal. You don't know what you don't know. People go into it and they're like, oh, sure, this guy did a show. Like, let me just hire him and he's cheap. And like we were talking about earlier, it's like, this is your health. It's not just like, let me look good on stage. It really is your health that's on the line. And you have to have somebody in your corner who, while you're hiring a coach to get you a result, they also have to have integrity about them and a moral compass to know, like, this is not the healthiest choice, and make people aware. I think that's super important too.
Absolutely. When you look for a coach, I think it's you need someone you can trust, someone that you can feel open with to tell anything about, someone you can tell if you fuck up on your diet. How do you think they're going to react? Also, have they gotten results of someone similar build as you, or someone as a similar structure as you? That would be a really good thing to look at when you are looking for a coach and considering, and just their process. You can even talk to previous clients of theirs and see, do they like that coach? Do they have any drawbacks, positive, negative? Do your due diligence and do your research when you are looking into a coach. Ultimately, you want to find someone you jive with and someone you trust.
Yes. And I think part of this process too, and this is something that is important, I think, when you're doing something that is an investment, right? Because bodybuilding ain't cheap. Let's be real. It's an investment. And when you are hiring a coach, I think it's important to get on a phone call with them and just feel it out. And like you were saying, it's really a good idea, honestly, to check with their prior or their current clients and ask questions. I encourage that. I mean, I've always encouraged that on the podcast too. Like, hit up any of our clients and ask questions. How is the experience? How's the communication, right? Communication is huge. How many times have you had a client start with you and say like, oh, my coach doesn't reply to me for like 3 or 4 days?
Oh my gosh.
It's insane.
Yeah, pretty frequently.
Yeah. And if your coach is manipulating things when you're in a prep and you're trying to get really lean, like a few days lost is actually...
It's big.
Yeah, it is, especially more so as you get closer, right? As you get closer, when you're 16, 20 weeks out, it's not as detrimental. But if you're in that under 8-week mark, like, you can't be going 3 to 4 days without hearing from your coach.
Absolutely.
Right.
Communication is key.
Yeah. So first step is find a coach. If you are a newbie, it's an investment, but it is one that you will be glad that you took the time to do the research and invested in, because it is your health. It is a big undertaking, and you want to make sure you come out of it healthy.
100%. That's a huge focus. You want to make sure this doesn't end up screwing with your hormones or anything psychological either coming out of a contest prep.
All right. Next important piece that you need to consider when you're competing.
Training style.
Your favorite topic.
Training. I do love me training.
Yes.
My name is Eash the Beast for a reason. So with training, even if you're brand new and you do not know what division you're going to be in, what federation, if you're a woman, you need to be training, well, just a bodybuilder in general, you need to be training hypertrophy style of training. Now, what does that mean? Okay, this is the bodybuilding style of training. It quite literally means training to increase muscle size. No other style of training does this. As a bodybuilder, you are looking to grow your muscles. Okay. Well, what about powerlifting and CrossFit, functional training? People will come to us training these styles and want to keep in their CrossFit classes or their powerlifting style. Yes, you are building with muscle. You are building muscle with that. However, that's not the goal of those style of trainings. When you are a powerlifter, powerlifting is focused on strength, how much you can lift regardless of how much muscle mass. CrossFit, that's endurance and strength. They're not going for a look. In bodybuilding, you are training for a specific look. So you want to be training for that goal in mind. Even if you don't know the division, as a woman, you should be training legs pretty hard. Whatever division you are in, you are definitely going to need that lower body structure, but hypertrophy style training, aka bodybuilding style of training, is definitely the way and route you want to go, regardless if you have a coach or not, right?
Yes.
Like, if you're not financially ready to commit to a coach, find a training program, stay on it. It's going to be monotonous. It's going to be the same training program for 12 weeks, 16 weeks. Why? Because that's what gets results. In bodybuilding, everything is monotonous.
Yeah. And you really have to, I mean, I think we've done a really good job of falling in love with the process. And like, trust me, I have my moments where I'm like, I don't want to do this. It's like, it feels like Groundhog's Day. But I think that's when you really have to just channel discipline and know like this is for a greater good, right? Like this is just part of the process. It's like the nights when you don't want to brush your teeth or wash your face. Hi, I didn't wash my face last night, right? Because it's just that thing that needs to be done to achieve the goal. So it might not be everybody's cup of tea, especially we get clients and a lot of women like high intensity classes, and they love the community aspect of like a group style class like CrossFit or powerlifting. In fact, I was just telling you, I'm running a beta test group for a lower body program. And one of the emails I got back is like, why can I ask you why we're doing like 10 to 15 reps? I'm used to doing like 5 to 8 with everything. And it's like, it's a completely different goal when you're lifting 5 to 8 reps really heavy. And let's be real, we were power lifters before.
Yes, we were.
That wasn't cute sometimes. We just had to get it from point A to point B. A lot of times it was joints, it was momentum, there wasn't control. And bodybuilding is so different. It requires you to be like intentional when you're training.
I like to say in bodybuilding, it's not how much you lift, it's how much it looks like you lift.
Yes.
Yes.
Like we can make lightweight look really fucking difficult.
Absolutely.
Because we're controlled, and we know that a part of this entire process is time under tension, where you're keeping your muscles under tension. And that just means when you're like lowering weight and you're lifting it, it's not just erratic. It's not, oh, I did this just to do 10 to 15 reps. It's like,
Yes.
You got to feel the muscles.
There has to be so much intention in your training if you want to be a good bodybuilder.
Yeah, that's the key. It's like anybody can move weight.
Absolutely. And you see it every day, night and day at the gym. Moving weight. Who's actually training with intention and intensity? It's not always how much you lift, it's how you're lifting it.
Definitely. And I think it's a lost art because bodybuilding has become so popular. I know this cat is so cute right now. It's become a little bit of a lost art because bodybuilding is like not new, but it's popular, more popular than it's ever been. And it's cool, and people want to look shredded, and I want to look like that. And it's so much more than that. It really is getting into the details of it if you want to be excellent and go up there and not just do it for the hell of it, right? There's a difference.
Yes, there is a difference.
People do that, right?
Yeah, sometimes it's a bucket list goal. And if that's for you, amazing. Just stay consistent and on your shit. But if you're looking to get on stage and compete and look like a competitor, then there are some next level tactics that you need to implement and be super in tune with to achieve that physique.
Yes. So back to what she was saying. If you are a beginner, it is so important to stick to a program, right? We talked a little bit about knowing what division you're in when you're a beginner. That's all going to be very like over your head unless you've actually looked into it. So that's something that you really should leave to a coach. So it's really helpful for you to get an experienced set of eyes on your physique that'll tell you your body structure, your frame, your genetics, everything plays a huge role on what division you should actually compete in. It's not just like, oh, this body looks really cool, let me do wellness, right? How many times have we heard that?
Yeah. And when you strip everything down, how much muscle mass is on your body to fit that division realistically?
Yeah. Let's talk about how people a lot of times assume that they want to just hire a coach and immediately like they want to shred, like, and go right to stage.
I feel like that is very the old school way of thinking, right? You hire your coach at 12 weeks out and it's like, okay, I'm a bodybuilder for the next 12 weeks. When in reality, if you're even thinking about getting on stage, this is a goal of yours, hire a coach, because there are so many phases that happen before a prep, especially if you're looking to be a competitor, if you're looking to get up there and bring your best physique that you absolutely can. Sometimes your journey needs to start at least a year in advance. It really depends on what your starting point is right now.
And we've had that happen.
Yeah. If you have a higher body fat and hey, this is something I want to do, maybe it's not realistic that you're going to compete this year.
Agreed.
Maybe you need to wait it out. Maybe you need to cut and diet first and then reverse your metabolism, get more calories, build muscle in the right areas, and then maybe hit a mini cut again. And then maybe we can go into a contest prep. There are so many different
layers
before you even start your prep that need to be gone through.
Right. And like, let's explain the reasoning behind that, right? Because muscle is not something like when you go into a fat loss phase is much easier. It's not easy, but it is easier than putting on muscle. And I think one huge misconception that people have is like, oh, I just need to lose weight and I can do a bodybuilding show. And it's like, well, no, not really, because the weight that you're going to lose is probably going to be body fat. Some muscle's definitely going to go with that too. And at the end of the day, what lies beneath, right? What lies underneath all that body fat? So the process is so important. And I think it's challenging because I know people come to us and they want to just do it now. And we will just say like, it's not in your best interest if you want me to give you the best result. And it's like, you have to find a coach who's willing to be real with you like that, because so many coaches are like volume. They just want hundreds of athletes, hundreds to just crank them all in. And it really is doing the client a disservice at that point.
Yeah, I've had to push a few of my girls' preps back because they want to bring a competitive physique to stage. But I said, look, we're not there yet. I know what you want to achieve, and they are 100% invested and trust the process as well. And they understand that it's not going to happen this year. We need to build muscle, and building muscle takes a long time. It's very monotonous. You're eating pretty consistently the same meals. Obviously your protein's got to be in check. You're training day in and day out, and you're recovering day in and day out.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts for sure, but not to overwhelm you guys, but you also have to remember we've been doing it for a really long time. So this is not something we were even aware of in the beginning.
Exactly.
It took us time to learn and educate ourselves, and obviously working with plenty of women to have the experiences and know that's how it really needs to be laid out for people.
Absolutely. And I think that layout is so efficient in taking your bodybuilding journey in layers, knowing that it's not going to happen in 12 weeks. You're going to get to stage and be this muscle princess on stage. It might take a few cuts, a build phase, a maintenance phase, and then you get to start your bodybuilding prep so that you can bring something you're really proud of once you hit the stage.
Definitely. Now we'll move on to the third thing that we wanted to cover in the podcast in terms of if you're a beginner and you're curious about bodybuilding, what your focuses should be, or where your train of thought should be in this process. And that is,
as boring as it is, it's your consistency to the process.
Yes. And the nutrition piece of it. That's where we really have to see that consistency come in, along with the training piece for sure.
Your consistency to your nutrition is 80% of your results. I will stand on that. It's 80% of what you do. What you put in to your body will directly reflect on what your body looks like. So if you're fucking off on the weekends or taking a lot of bites, licks, and tastes here and there, not hitting your protein goals, or just not prioritizing the right protein sources, that's going to reflect in your results.
Right. And I think a lot of times, like I was saying earlier, it's like, oh, this is like a skinny, like I just need to lose weight. Yes. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. It's really optimizing your nutrition for the goal at hand, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the link that people miss, especially just women who aren't even interested in competing.
Oh, yeah.
Right. They're just like hitting the gym. They're like, I'm training, I'm not seeing results, so on and so forth. They're like, I have no desire to compete, but I'm stuck. And it's oftentimes we start with the diet because, like you said, 80 to 90% of your results are going to be what goes in your mouth or does not go in your mouth for your physique goals.
100%. And there's so many things that go into that, right? Your protein sources, how many times a day you're eating, if you're waiting till night to stuff all your macros in. And I work with a lot of women over 40 and they are so scared of food. They are so terrified of food and they think banana and almonds is going to get them their dream physique.
And sad salads.
And sad salads.
Yeah. And some wine.
Oh my gosh. And I have to teach them and coach them through that. You need more than 1,200 calories to build muscle, to achieve the physique that you're looking for. And it's really drilling that into your head. Don't be afraid of food and eat your protein consistently.
Right. Protein is the biggest one we harp on because that's how you're building muscle. You have to eat protein, right? And vegetarians, vegans, doesn't matter. We've worked with them all across the board. It's always an issue. I mean, we have a few outliers that are like, protein, I have no problem.
I want to eat 200 grams of protein. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really is the thing that has to be at the forefront when it comes to your muscle building endeavors. And even if you want to do a division that's not highly muscular, like bikini or the new fit model division, you're still going to need to be eating copious amounts of protein. And I know you had mentioned as a start, even if you have nowhere to start, it's like start at 100 grams a day and do your research and see what your body needs for optimization for that goal, for sure, if you're not hiring a coach.
Yeah, I highly recommend as a beginner, you have at least 100 grams of protein under your belt every single day, and then find a calorie goal and meet it. So don't get too confused with where the carbs and fats lie. Start with your protein, start with your calories, hit that consistently. Okay. You give me 3 weeks. You won't even need 3 weeks because you'll see results sooner than that. But 3 weeks of hitting your protein targets and your calorie targets, you're going to notice your clothes fitting differently. You're going to have a little bit leaner physique, even if the goal isn't to drop weight. Your body structure and things, you'll be able to feel a difference in your body once you start consistently eating your protein.
Yeah, it does make a huge difference. And not only that, it's a satiation factor too. So it's going to help you feel fuller longer. You're less likely to be eating other crap because protein just takes up a lot more space. And it's definitely not just like living on, salad and almonds, which guilty is charged. I mean, it's nothing that I haven't done or we've seen in the past. But I think just to pull this all full circle moment, if you look back at your beginner athletes, your beginner clients, what do you find is the hardest things for them in the beginning?
It's honestly their nutrition. And that's why I have them focus solely on that before stressing about the training program or the cardio or anything else. It's let's get the nutrition on track because that is going to be 80 to 90% of your results. That's where the bulk of it comes. And then the other things come into play to support that. But it's their nutrition.
Definitely the nutrition. And I think this goes for anybody who is trying to achieve fat loss and you're working out as a means to feel that's going to actually change everything. It really isn't, right? We always say like your workouts are an hour-ish of your day.
Yeah.
It's really the other 23 hours of your day that are going to really mold and shape what your physique looks like and what you feel like, right? Like there's also that factor too. We aren't really getting into like how you feel when you start making these changes, which is a drastic improvement, but it really is the food that's going to make the biggest difference.
100%.
All right. Well, just to kind of wrap that up and summarize everything for you, we highly suggest if you are interested in competing, you seek out a coach. And as a foundation, you're going to need to be training. So if you're not training, that's something you want to start like yesterday, right? That's something that the muscle building takes a lot of time. And then getting your diet in check. Those 3 things are super key. And you can bet that if you hire a coach, the diet and the training piece is going to be handled for you, as well as hopefully your cardio. What else? Supplements, if that's something that's going to be a part of your routine.
Absolutely. Your recovery needs to be prioritized. Sleep for sure.
steps. I mean, we want to make sure everything as a whole in your lifestyle is working with you and not against you for competing.
And also, if you're in a highly stressed state, whether you have a stressful job, a stressful marriage, stress with multiple kids and sports, is it the best time in your life to want to start a bodybuilding prep?
Yeah.
That's something you have to think about, because stress will cause you to hold on to body fat. Not to get too in the weeds with that, but look at where you are in the timeline of your life and see if a bodybuilding prep is right for you at this moment.
Yeah, that is one big factor, because if that is not aligned, then you're going to struggle big time in your bodybuilding endeavors. So we'll leave it at that. We're going to leave you on a little bit of a cliffhanger. We do have a couple more episodes we want to bring you that are really focused on competition prep, really bringing light and shining light on the entire process, and really give you things to think about as to whether or not it's something that you should, or if it's a goal of yours, continue to chase and put at the forefront of your mindset with your nutrition and health goals. So with that, if you are interested and you want to learn more, we will link up our competition prep information. It starts with a physique assessment. And the reason why we do that, and we're a little bit different than probably most coaches out there, is because we don't want the mindset of like, let's just take everybody and anybody and throw meal plans at them. It's very irresponsible. And so a physique assessment is going to, you submit your photos, I go through them, I will give you a blueprint as to what I think your next steps should be. Is it smart for you to be competing right now? Is it not smart? Here's my suggestions on what division would be best suited for you, what your focus should be as far as your body parts. So it gets pretty in depth. Sometimes it's a little too in depth. Yeah. But it's about a 20-minute-ish video that I will send back to you that really gives you details on exactly what your focus should be. And even if you don't want to compete, I have girls that do it because they're like, I really just want an athletic physique. Tell me what I should be doing. And a lot of times, I mean, I get so much feedback on how informational and educational it is for them. And they're like, wow, this is really great. So that's how we start. Should you be interested, of course, hit us up. Or if you have questions, where can they find you, Miss Eash the Beast? She is our head coach on the competition team.
Team Beast. You can find me on Instagram at Eash_the_beast. You can find me on YouTube. Look up Eash the Beast. I just wrapped up my competition prep series, and that was a lot of fun. So I post on YouTube pretty much weekly. Yeah, Instagram and YouTube is my main things.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. Hopefully this was insightful for you if you are considering a bodybuilding journey. And we are the Goddess Body Elite team. Of course, we would love to have you. Check it out in the show notes or in the description here on YouTube. And we'll catch you on the next episode.
Stay beautiful.
Bye.